Hello and welcome back to another very exciting edition of the Jonneymon review series. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at that one prop that dude pulled out of the sand in that one movie starring Nacho Libre and the girl from Doctor Who. I don't know why they made a prop replica, that one thing that basically appears in the movie for a total of 2 minutes, when the rest of the movie is basically just a sequel to that one PS2 game, but oh well, here we are. When you open up the box that you received a month late due to delays in shipping recently, you find another box. On the front face of this box, you'll find a big product shot of presumably the thing you'll be receiving in this box. Along with the product shot, you get a little bit of text saying it's a jungle in there, which of course is a reference to that other Jack Black movie, Tropic Thunder, in which the characters go to the Vietnam jungles and some crazy shit happens. And in the bottom corner, you get some board dimensions. On the top of the box, you'll find a shot of the inside of the board as well as the tokens and other bits and bobs used to play the game. On the back of the box, you'll find a big thick picture of that same image of the board as well as bullet points stating what comes in the box. On the bottom of the box, just words and logos and barcodes and stuff. On the side of the box, another picture of the closed board as well as the tokens and dice. And on the other side, just more titles and words and logos and stuff. Once you stop creaming your pants in anticipation and decide it's actually time to open the box, you're immediately greeted with styrofoam. If you're brave enough to venture past the styrofoam, you'll find the actual prop board itself, which is always nice. Immediately after removing the board from the box, you're greeted with a pamphlet. It's filled with other expensive things you could buy at their store after you've just given them a bunch of money at their store. Once you get your first good look at the board itself, you'll immediately notice that it's not in the correct color scheme. Another YouTuber proposed that this is perhaps an homage to a previously released board, but I don't care. Why couldn't they just gone with movie-accurate colors? The Van Pelt on the face of the board is also not 100%, but it's easily one of the best representations we've ever got from one of these prop boards. Everything on the board is three-dimensional, as it should be, and is very nicely rendered. The board itself is not made out of wood, it's made out of some sort of plastic, which given the price point is not all that surprising. What is slightly more interesting is that the actual face of the board is molded in a very soft piece of plastic. There's no give to it, which means it's not rubber, it's just a very soft plastic. On the bottom of the board you'll find 4 molded in feet as well as 6 stuck on pads which keep the board from rubbing against whatever surface you put it on. And obviously in the middle there's a big circular disc with the Jumanji logo on it as well as other legal information. But what is slightly more interesting is that it's done in felt. I don't know why, but okay. Seems slightly odd in my opinion. So when you decide to stop digging around and actually crack open the board, the first thing you'll be greeted by is a green bag with the Jumanji logo on it that contains some bits and bobs used to play the actual game, as well as a piece of foam covering the board itself. Underneath the piece of foam you'll find an instruction booklet used to play the game. Taking a look at the actual board itself, this thing is beautiful. Absolutely beautifully sculpted and beautifully painted, just everything is rendered perfectly. The words on either drawer are simply printed on stickers, but they do look very nice, and hey, if you saw it from a distance or didn't touch it, you might have actually thought there was plywood, so yeah. A couple of things to note about it is that the stickers are actually put on upside down. They're put on the correct drawer, however they should be facing the other way. However, it is completely understandable as to why they've gone with this, as to have the words line up with the compartments. Also, the molded in detail on the box around the board should be facing the other way, and 2 of the rails have the incorrect number of spaces, but I doubt there's anyone that nitpicky in the world to care about something like that. When you open up one of the compartments, you'll already find the tokens placed inside. They'll come pre-packaged in their own personal Ziploc bag, but I don't have any of those to hand because I don't care. Of course, you get the 4 tokens displayed in the movie. You get the elephant, you get the giraffe, you get the hippopotamus, and of course, you get the bird. Each of them are sculpted and painted very nicely. They do look very faithful to their on-screen counterparts. The elephant and the monkey are painted in a lighter paint than was seen in the movie, but this doesn't detract from them at all, and it's negligible. But it's important that you know that it exists. Upon opening the other compartment, you'll find 3 dice and a deck of cards. The deck of cards and the extra die are used to play the game. But these dice weren't the ones included. These ones were. I swapped these out because they look like little wimpy pieces of shit. They're not even screen accurate. They're so small and they're rounded in the corners. So I've opted to just switch them out for these more square dice. Upon opening the green Jumanji bag shown earlier, you'll find a deck of cards used to play the game. Yippee. The green center eye was packaged separately, however I just stored it in the green bag for convenience. The center eye is really well done, and at first I actually thought it was glass because of how well it looks. Also, I am stupid. The rim is also painted nicely and gives off a brass effect pretty well. You can place the center eye directly onto the board itself, as there is an indentation in the board that it slides into. I would also recommend gluing the eye down if you're going to use it for display purposes, as there's nothing to connect it to the actual board, and would fall out unless you had it completely flat on a surface. There are also these tokens that came packaged with the instructions, but I keep them stored in the green bag as I've actually played the game. You may have noticed earlier that the doors were bowed out due to the piece of foam being on the board. However, with that removed, everything closes up and stays flush just fine. Now on to my main complaints about the board. This thing doesn't have the button on the side, 0 out of 10. No, but seriously though, one of my actual complaints of this board is paint quality. You can see it here in this clip, but on the very tip of Van Pelt's hat, there is some paint chipping going on there. I've only had this thing like a week, so that's extremely disappointing to see. All across the rails as well are these little black dots that you can see in this footage here. That's not dust or anything, that's just something going on with the paint. Also, this green line right here, like what even is that? I don't know what that is. That's not paint chipping, that's like just a malfunction with a gun. I don't even know what that is. I don't know why it's on my board, but it's very distracting. Also, it doesn't bother me personally, but some of you might be disappointed to know that there's no magnets or anything to keep the tokens on. Also, on either side there are 6 posts holding the doors closed, but they really only sit in the holes rather than securing them to the board. So if you display the board upright, they'll have a tendency to fall open. Now, for comparison, here it is next to the standard edition Jumanji board game that you could buy from any shop. Here it is next to the wooden Walmart exclusive version of the board game. Here it is with the pocket edition version of the board game. Here it is with the Steelbook Blu-ray as featured earlier in the video. And of course Zoe. Overall, this thing is actually really cool, and I don't think you could get a better prop replica for the price. This thing's getting an 85 out of 100. The paint really is my only major complaint about it. It not being movie accurate colors is kind of negligible. Under certain light it completely works, under certain light it doesn't. But the paint chipping and whatever is going on the surface of the board are definitely holding it back in my opinion. The posts also not being able to hold the doors closed securely is kind of annoying. But that's really it. There's not much bad to say about this board. It's really good. It looks great. Other than the paint, it's high quality. The game itself is fun. More fun than the actual retail mass-produced board game, which was kind of interesting. And overall, it's just a great piece to have that I'm happy to add to my collection. So, bottom line, Zathura is a vastly underappreciated movie and you should go watch it.